Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin for the win, and we're back for another edition of Monster Hunter Rise. Today on the channel, we are taking a look at the Insect Glaive. We're going to be taking a look at one of the endgame builds for the Insect Glaive. So we're going to be using Evening Calm, which is the Narkuga maxed out Insect Glaive because it has 40% affinity right off the bat. So we're going to kind of do basically an affinity abuse build here. We're going to be using the Zinogre Helm S, which gives us one level 1 gem slot. Also has kind of decent resistance. It's not, can't really take a bath as you see there. This gives you laden power and weakness exploit in the helm, so that's why we're using it. We're also going to be using the Rembra Suit S. This gives us critical boost level 1. We're also going to be using Dauber Van Braces, which gives us a level 2 gem slot, which is important, and 2 level 1 slots, and as well as -2 fire resistance, which is not bad, but the rest of them are actually pretty good resistances. This gives us randomly Dragon Attack level 1, which we don't care about, but it does give us Power Prolonger and also gives us a good slot. We're going to be using Scalda Electra S for Weakness Exploit level 2. And then to round it off, we're going to be using Golden Hakama, which is probably the go-to pants right now, which gives us Critical Boost level 2. And we have a Demon Petalist, and we have a Talisman. I'm going to be swapping those out for a better recommendation for you guys, thanks to the 2.0 update. I'll do that in a second. So let's show you full stats, what this looks like. Attack, 208. Affinity, 40% off the bat. Defense, 417. Look at this. The only real thing you can't deal with is Ice, and you have plus 13 to Dragon resistance. Leaping Slash, Terrestrial Slash, and Recoil Consent. You could also use Wyvern move in particular. Full stats, Weakness Exploit level 3, Critical Boost level 3, Power Prolonger level 3, Windproof level 3, Speed Sharpening level 3, Laden Power, Attack Boost level 1, Dragon Attack, and we can't be staggered. So look at the majority of the skills. These are nice quality of life improvement. Power Prolonger level 3 is very important on this set, because you want to extend the triple bug effect as much as possible. Now, for Insect Glaive users, we have 2 new Petalants that came out. Everybody has access to this for every weapon. Which one should you use? Well, Insect Glaives, in particular, like a lot of stamina because we burn through it quite a bit. So my recommendation, I would use the Underworld Petalants. And I would just level it up, max it out to get it to its max stats. That way you have more stamina. You don't really need necessarily attack. Now, as for what we could use for our Rampage ability, I'm going to cover that in a second as well. Unfortunately, the Narkuga don't have really great Rampage skills, but we have to make do with what we have. Now, honestly, this is going to be kind of a coin flip for you guys here. I'm actually looking for my Glaive. It's one of the things you have a hard time finding that little E there. Where is it? As you can see, I have a lot of Insect Glaives here, so keep that in mind. I have a lot of weapons. This is stuff that we're experimenting with different builds. There it is. All right, so you can get Attack Boost free or Affinity Boost 2 and Master Rider. Honestly, we have enough stuff on here to guarantee more affinity and doing more damage. You could go Affinity Boost 2, but I would prefer getting a little more out of my attack stat. Honestly, it's a coin toss. You could just go straight up Affinity or straight up Attack. It's not going to matter too much in the long term. Keep in mind, since we don't have a lot of attack boosting things, we probably should. Now, as for the Consect, this is something that has come up. Which Consect is the best for the Insect Glaive? Well, honestly, there's a couple here. There's the Assist Bug, which I particularly like. The Powder Bugs, I don't particularly find them too useful. It's a very niche playstyle. Speed Bugs are good for getting buffs very quickly, but if I were to pick one, I would go with the Monarch Alucard because it gives you dual color attack. So that's the red buff. So it always will give you the red buff with something else. So it's red and white or red and orange, so it's very important. The blunt version of that is a Carnage Beetle. My recommendation is that it depends on the monster. If it has a tail, go with the Monarch Alucard because that particular bug will cut off tails. If you have a monster that is very prone to KO damage, you could go Carnage Beetle. That would be my recommendation. As for the rest of these bugs here, their bugs are kind of very random. Like the Blast Bug might have some use. The Powder Heal, maybe if you're playing group play. As for the last tier of bugs, it's basically Fast Charge. Fast Charge means you can charge up the bug and fire it and can kind of do pierce damage. None of those are particularly good, so my recommendation, definitely just go for Assist Bug. Pick which of the 2 level 4 or the level 5 that you want to pick and which one you prefer having double buffs for, and those are the things you want to really focus on. Keep in mind, for Insect Glaives, you always want to maintain triple buff, which is why we're using Power Prolonger level 3. Now, on terms of playstyle, I'm going to show off 2 types of monsters. This was addressed in the comments. I actually didn't mention in just regular playthrough videos I was doing covering armors, because obviously where I was waiting to cover Insect Glaive a bit more in detail before I got into it. But with the Insect Glaive, there's a lot of confusion as to how you should be playing it effectively. Now, for smaller monsters, it's usually hard to be able to stay aerial and do a ton of damage on them aerial-wise because they have a obviously smaller radius to be able to hit them. They're lower to the ground. Usually for those monsters, you kind of want to just kind of go DPS on them, which is damage per second, where you're just wailing and wailing on them while staying on the ground. However, for larger monsters in particular, you want to maintain staying up in the air as long as possible. Something that is not too talked about is the longer you stay up in the air and the more damage you're doing in the glaive on the air, you actually will do more damage to the monster. So it's always in your benefit to maintain staying up in the air as long as possible. And as you saw there, I got really quick triple buff. That is thanks to the assist bug. So as you can see here, this is just on the ground how much damage you're doing. As you see, if we're hitting a critical hit spot, which would be in this monster's particular area, the face area, because that's where you could get the most damage out of, you're going to be swinging on average between 44 to 59 to 32. It depends. The problem with that is, obviously, Insect Glaive is a mid-range weapon, particularly. So what you really want to do with bigger monsters is do, as you see here, stay up in the air as long as possible. As you see blue with yellow damage indicators. That is basically doing more damage to the monster than if you were staying grounded. So what really you have to learn to master with the Insect Glaive while also kind of micromanaging, not trying to burn through stamina, and also trying to pick your spots as to when to pogo stick up in the air, is you want to stay up in the air and kind of maintain doing consistent aerial damage, particularly with the larger monsters, because as you see, I'm going to try to do it here. Probably a bad position there. I thought I was able to get all of it. Also, obviously, monsters are a bit more mobile. You could use Counter-Strike on Insect Glaive because of the amount of time you're moving back. I am using Recoil Consec because Wyvern, I don't really find too many uses for that particular one. Some people love it because it does damage, but unfortunately, it has to hit in such a precise area that it's not useful for a lot of monsters. So here's a good example. The monster's kind of staying still. So you want to get off as many of those aerial attacks as possible because you're going to be doing maximum amount of damage. And whenever you can and you don't see an opportunity, obviously just wail on the face with the Evening Calm because you're going to be doing a lot of damage. Unfortunately, when it comes to Glaive, there are, just like Dual Blades, not too much you could do in terms of canceling out a certain animation. So when you're locked into an animation such as this one, you have to finish the full animation before you are able to kind of get a do-over. So you can be punished with this weapon if you get a little too hyper aggro. Let's see here. Another thing is, obviously, if you run out of triple buff in the air, it's not optimal because you will not be able to do that nice little twirly tornado spin attack. He's pretty slow. I'm trying to just knock him down. Okay. Now, you have two options here. I'm going to go and show you this one. This one, if you could just keep maintaining your aerial maneuver, you get 3 of these in particular before you can't do it anymore. Now, I'll follow this with the downward slice, and you see how much damage we did there. All of those were maximum super effective damage against this monster. So when you're playing Glaive, you want to kind of do that window of damage on the monster. Obviously, there's situations where you can't just pogo stick around as much as you want, and you'll just stay aerial in here. But obviously, as you can see with the damage indicators up on the screen, which I put up because I know people have been kind of demanding them, you really don't need these numbers necessarily when you're actually playing Monster Hunter, unless you're playing range weapons in particular where you need to find the sweet spot. But for some people, obviously you need it because maybe you're a little newer to the game. That's basically why I put them up. I know this was a hot topic on the channel for a while where people demanded, I messed up the mount. I thought I could just bounce it off into the wall there. Clearly we can't. All right. I got to be careful. I'm not trying to get too aggro here because, like I said, you can't cancel Insect Glaive attack animations, which leaves you open. I also have to sharpen. I'm going to wait till it leaves the area before I do that. That is one problem with the Insect Glaive in particular. It does burn through sharpness. There are ways to mitigate this now if you wanted to, but you're sacrificing a lot of attack just to get sharpness on here. You could switch out the Rafflos braces, or correction, not the Rafflos braces we're using here. You could take out the Doppler braces, but you're going to be using, or losing, I should say, critical boost, which I don't recommend. You could, for like a glove that has handcraft on it, which would be like the Sinister gloves. There is now the newer Elder Dragon. Well, they're old Elder Dragons, but they're new for the game. Where I believe Kushala has some handcraft pieces in particular. You could use those in particular to get handcraft so that your weapon doesn't dull as much. But naturally, the Evening Calm has a lot of white sharpness in particular anyway, and with our Grinder Talisman in particular, we can pretty much mitigate how quick it takes, or how fast it takes to basically sharpen a weapon here. Unfortunately, the monster didn't stay around long enough for us to mount it to do the minigame there. Alright, dodge out of the way here. I'm going to go aerial. Kind of needed to not aerial into his face when he was doing an attack. So that's one of the things you kind of learn when to not go super aggro with the insect glaive. I am going to play another monster after this one. Particularly, we're going to fight a Rathalos, so I could show you how this armor set fares against the aerial monsters and what the strategy with insect glaive is for dealing with aerial monsters. Here we go. This is a nice thing. It's kind of slowed down, so we're going to get off maybe 2 hits. Unfortunately, the monster will move away. You can dodge in the air when you're doing that attack with the B button and dodge backward. Sometimes the camera doesn't work in your favor. I got to dodge here because, yeah, I saw it coming, but I didn't have enough time to react. Okay, go dodge aerial. Gonna go. Obviously, it's a matter of trying to get right positioning. I'm going to go consec recoil here. I'm going to get a little bit of distance. And he decided to charge us up in the air. That's the problem. When it comes to Glaive, it does have a problem, and this is why it's kind of not an S-tier weapon anymore. It's kind of like mid-tier, is because it doesn't have as many options in regards to kind of canceling like you used to. Alright, this is a good situation here. We're going to get off 2 of these. Unfortunately, if we were able to get an air dodge there, we could have air dodged into it and just continued that same combo. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to damage the face. We could pogo stick and go up for the combo, but by the time we pogo stick, we lose a lot of seconds in regards to being able to do damage here. Alright, stunned there. That was fortunate for us. I probably should have tried to not gone super aggro again. So, just like dual blades, you run the risk of getting too combo heavy and not being able to have options. So he moved out of the way there. That's kind of unfortunate. I'm going to dodge this way. It is blue, so it's almost dead. So we're going to try to maintain aerial dodge here. It's probably going to be slower target and probably try to eat something to go big. All right. We get off that combo, and pretty much we kill the monster. So with larger monsters, try to stay in air as much as possible and try to go for 3 rotations of that spinning attack and then follow it through, because you can't do more than 3 of that with just doing the X attack, which will be a downward slash attack. Or I believe it's A, is it? No, it's X. So then you want to do downward slash. You'll be able to do maximum damage going down. And that's kind of the windows that you need to do with Insect Glaive. The good thing about this particular armor in general is that you're going to be in triple bug form a lot more. And this is why we use the assist bug to just help get that super fast and maintain it. When you have triple bug, you have high grade earplugs. You have a knockback ability as well. And you also get a affinity boost, which is why this armor kind of just focuses on abusing affinity. Most of the time, you're going to probably have about 95% affinity if you're able to hit the sweet spots and you have the triple bug up and you're hitting critical hit spots in the air, and you can do just maximum effectiveness in that perspective. And just so you know, why does my armor look like this? I have a layered armor because I don't actually like those ugly mix sets. They're great for skills, but they don't really look good, and I'm a fashion hunter, unfortunately. So that was an 8-minute clear time. We probably could have gotten 7 if the monster wasn't being as obnoxious. So for this showcase here, I'm going to show you an aerial monster. This one is kind of a nightmare to fight. It is the Rathalos. We did bring flash bombs. Rathalos, depending on the size of it, can be very easy to deal with or very hard to deal with. On average here, again, Insect Glaive is a mid-tier weapon. It's not S-tier, so we're not going to be able to just walk in going guns blazing like the heavy bowgun or the light bowgun, or just going with bow and arrow where you just can dominate everything from far distances and stuff. With Insect Glaive, you have to be up close and personal because obviously it's a melee weapon. It's not like longsword, where longsword's benefit is why people are using that one in particular. weapon more for melee is because longsword has a parry system, so you can parry things. And sometimes you can see when the monster is going to like hit you out of something, so you go into the parry and you protect yourself. Unfortunately, when it comes to Insect Glaive, we don't have any sort of parry system, so if you're locked into a combo, monsters will punish you. On top of that, you can't cancel animations, unfortunately, like some of the air weapons. So it leaves you at a bigger disadvantage than what normally air weapons give you benefits to. And we don't have a shield like Sword and Shield or Charge Blade or Gun Lance or Lance even. So we have to rely on other things. I'm going to try to Flash Bomb Rafflos as much as possible. I might have to play this really cautiously because Rafflo can do a lot of damage to us, and if I don't kind of play this a little bit turtley, we may not have thing. Now, with Rafflo, since it's an aerial monster, and hopefully little monsters are going away like that, you want to kind of maintain your air combos against it when possible. Remember, the longer you stay up in the air, the more effective damage you are going to be doing against the monsters with this particular armor set and the Insect Glaive in general. So you always kind of want to stay aerial as long as possible. Usually, you don't want a bunch of little monsters going. But as you can see, whenever you see the blue hits, we're doing for optimal amounts of damage, which is what you want to do with this build. I got to be careful, though. One of the benefits with Glaive is you really can challenge aerial monsters and kind of wreck their day when possible. All right. And always remember to keep an eye on the buffs, because if you're up in the air and your buff runs out, you're going to be in for a bad time. See, I'm not going super aggro because I'm trying to set up for flash bombs here, because he's going to get super aggressive on us with case in point here. See it. I didn't even have a chance to respond because I was just cornered in. I got to switch healing here. I got to be careful, though, because obviously if we're not careful, we will get combo, because he will go triple fireball into tail whip and then go like claw to poison us. Case in point there. See, he's getting really pissed off at us. He's enraged. So we're trying to roll around here because we can burn to death, which would not be fun here. I'm not trying to cart against this. All right. Going to go back in the air. We're close enough. We got knocked back. You could run Counter-Strike on here because Insect Glaive does have a high potential of getting knocked back. And then you got an attack boost there. You would have to gem something else out, like maybe Speed Sharpening you could gem out if you want to get Counter-Strike gems on here in particular. I don't necessarily recommend it. I would recommend the build. Case in point here, that's what Insect Glaives don't like to see, is when we run out triple buff and we're already in the air. So we're going to try to maintain, get back triple buff while not getting burned by the King of the Skies. So I'm just going to go for some free damage here because he's roaring. If you could stay under his legs, you can get a lot of damage from some of these monsters. Usually when they're not running and throwing a tantrum such as today. All right. We got the extra buff, so... And we didn't even have a chance to respond. There's one good thing about Rafflos is he will punish you. So this kind of shows you kind of what you have to be careful of when you're playing Glaive. I need to get my flash bombs back up, but the problem with that is we want to take advantage of opportunities such as this. All right, we can ride him now. So we're actually not doing too bad if we were able to knock him into the mounting status already. I'm going to try to knock him into these boulders here. He does fly up in the air. Sometimes it's kind of confusing what edges you can actually knock him into here. So we'll just go for the cliffs, easiest thing here. All right, since we're down here, we're going to go for triple buff. And we are going to wail on the face. We could go pogo stick up in the air. The problem is, you can see here, he doesn't stay down for too long. So you just kind of want to go for the face and then go pogo stick now. We don't have to worry about being roared out of that because we have triple buff. So we have high-grade earplugs thanks to triple buff bug. We got in the triple combo, but we couldn't follow through with the final attack there because, unfortunately, he was just out of position. So, gotta take what you could get. But we're going to go again, aerial combo. You see all those blues means you're doing maximum amount of damage with the Glaive. We got dodge here. Okay. I canceled the combo. That's the one good thing is you can cancel the air combos a bit. So, we got to be careful. We can't see him. So, we don't want to get that to happen. So, it's good we got to dodge. And we also don't want to get poisoned because he likes to poison, tail swipe, and just do a free hit combo for death. He's trying free hit combos here, so we're going to move back. I'm going to go Mega Potion. I got to roll around because I am burned. My pets are not really helping, as you can see here, guys. So he's finally going to leave. He does have the higher ground, so keep that in mind. What we're going to do now is sharpen. That's why I'm saying you don't necessarily need grinder. It just makes things a little faster in terms of the sharpening time. So if you wanted to, and you wanted to kind of for the lulls, you could run Counter-Strike because you will kind of get hit out of moves, so it'll give you a little bit of an attack boost that way. You could go Evade Extender also on the set. It's not going to help really too much outside of evading, so really as long as you just play it cautiously, you won't really have to run Evade Extender. Really, you want to just go for the critical boost because that's how you're going to be able to get a faster clear time with most monsters that are basically high rank 7 and 6, and obviously high rank 8 higher. Okay, we got a lot of part breaks there, so I've been doing a lot of good chunky damage. Let's go aerial combo. Aerial combo again. Nope. We weren't able to fall through there because unfortunately we weren't at a good distance and sweet spot, so... and also we lost our buff, so we're going to go back into triple buff. Let's get a white and red buff. That's why I use the a la carte assist bug, because it just gives you nice quality of life buffs. Because you always want the red one because it's an attack and gives you the speed that you need to attack with the weapon. Orange one has to do really with... Alright, flash bomb there. If you can, try to keep your flash bombs handy, close to you, for when it goes up in the air also. This is not like meaty damage, but we're trying to trip them. Alright, case in point there. Now I'm going to go for the face. We could go aerial and get greedy, but by the time we go up for the air combo there, we are going to be passing up on a lot of free, nice critical hit damage that we want to do. So definitely when you can, and you see that you don't necessarily need to go aerial, or that it's going to take too long to set up the aerial combo, definitely just go for nice, free, meaty damage around the legs. Or if it's tripped, go for the face. If you really want to get rid of the tail, you could also target the tail just to chop it off. Particularly here, we want to go for a decent clear time. So what we're doing is we're going aerial most of the time, so we could do a lot of damage. Also, when you're going aerial with the glaive, you are going to have a high potential to chop off the tail anyway, because look at that. Okay, we got a nice, good thing here. We're going to try to keep the combo in the air up. Keep it going. Now we fall through with that downward slash. Look at how much damage we do with that one. That's really the bread and butter perfect combo that you want to go for when you're using the insect glaive. And since we have high-grade earplugs, we don't have to worry about being roared there. I do have to worry about getting hit with that fire. And so unfortunately, that's not good for us, but it's not bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to roll around a bit. I'm going to be a little bit cautious here. I'm going to let my pets kind of do their job while I just kind of heal up. And typical of my pet, it decides that it's going to play the health horn right after I healed, which is basically useless for me. That's one of my pet peeves when I'm using the Palicos in particular. Now, as for Update 2.0, while I'm fighting this darn thing, honestly, I thought it was a pretty good update. I think it was really cool to remove the armor cap, so everybody had to work harder to invest more armor spears into their armor. A little annoying because it set me back in terms of what the videos I was going to be doing on the channel, because now I had to spend extra money to be able to level up things and had to grind a bit more. I like the fact that they added the rest of the Elder Dragons they're usually in, so Tiastra, Kushala, and Camilos is always good to see. I always feel like Tiastra should be pronounced Teostra, because I think Leo when I see Teo, but apparently it's Tiastra, and that's how it's pronounced. We flash bomb them there. Always keep those flash bombs handy against Rathalos, because he will get annoying and he likes to stay too aerial. I think we could have mounted him again there too, it looked like, but we'll just go for meaty damage and get a free buff on the legs. He is exhausted, so what we're going to do here is, I was trying to trip him. I might move towards the face if possible to get some critical hit damage. Alright, so he's exhausted and stunned. That's perfect. So you want to basically, if you see him, go do that. Strike the face as much as possible. You could also aerial combo. I'm going to kind of do that, but I was wanting to see what he was doing first. He's limping away, so he's almost dead. So 2.0 update. I love the Elder Dragons. I like the fact that we had a hidden monster. Belgeist. I'm sorry for the spoiler, but pretty much by now, most people have already seen him. So that's pretty cool to see Belgeist. He's a Monster Hunter World monster. So that's kind of cool that we finally got another Monster Hunter World monster that's featured in a non-world game, so that's cool. I like that we finally have our layer armors, and it's not really hard to get a lot of outfit tickets, which I thought was going to be difficult. Just do any HR8 or multiple monster quest that's HR7 or higher, and you will get a lot of tickets that way, so I think that's really cool. My only pet peeve, and it's a little bit of a nitpick, but it's not really too much of a nitpick, is I'm really not a fan of them allowing us to fight the Apex monsters outside of the Rampage, but then the Apex monsters don't give us anything extra. There are no armors to craft with them. There are no new weapons to craft with them. It's only good to basically farm Apex monsters from the previous update to get extra items for Rampage weapons, and to be able to do them in a group of 4 significantly quick with fast clear times. But we don't have any armors for them as of yet, so it's kind of useless. 2, I thought he was going to go down with that flash bomb. I guess he didn't. All right, that's fine. We'll go aerial combo on him and punish him to death. So yeah, my own problem is that fighting the Apex monsters outside of the quest really don't do anything. And we also can't fight a Rathalos or Apex Diablos outside Rampage yet. So, that's kind of a nitpick for me. Obviously, I feel that they're going to add more when we get the May update at the end of the month, where we'll probably be able to fight Rathalos and Apex, and hopefully then we'll have craftable Deviant armors, or not really Deviant, but Apex armors. It feels like there's something more to them, and they're just kind of drip feeding us all the way up to May. Hopefully, so maybe we have a whole bunch of those resources and then don't have to complain that we don't have enough to build. Dumb. So maybe that's what Capcom's doing. That's my theory. All right, guys. So as you can see, that's pretty much what you want to do with the Insect Glaive when you're fighting a very hyper aggro, up in the air monsters such as the Rathalos. Glaive does great against aerial monsters because you can punch them. Great against big monsters, and very good against big, slow-moving monsters that are fast targets. Fast targets, you have a little bit harder time because you're going to have to kind of rely on doing most of your damage on the ground and just maintaining triple buff. But this armor will do the maximum amount of critical damage, affinity damage, and it will keep you in triple bug form maximum time, which is what this armor excels at doing. Obviously, you can change around the pieces to give you the skills and abilities that you would prefer. This is just a mixed armor set recommendation. It's not the end-all to be-all, but I think this will help you out quite a bit. And I will eventually show off some other set ideas for the Insect Glaive in the future. We're just trying to cover a lot of weapon types right now. I'm going to be covering the hammer in the next installment, so definitely watch out for that one. I'm not really a big fan of the hammer, spoiler alert there. Alright guys, so make sure you give this video a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.